Okay, I think I've started recording now. So for anybody that missed this class, I'm going to provide the recordings and the person will be able to go through it. And even some of us that were in class, there may be any parts that we don't really find, or maybe you find it difficult or you cannot understand it. So you can also go back to the videos and watch. So I want to open my Anaconda. So I believe everybody is familiar with that, and by now I hope you would have started using your Jupyter notebook very well from Anaconda software. So just a minute for it to load. Okay, now, and I always tell us something that anytime you want to make, like you want to work on a project, maybe data analysis project or any project, it's always nice to create a folder, like a separate folder where you can put in your data and you'll be able to work on it. And especially when you want to import your data, it may be kind of hard or difficult only if you know the part where the data is. But to me, to save you stress, you can always create a folder for it. So now I'm looking for the folder that I've created for this. Okay, I think this is it. So here I already have the code written, but I will just try to explain what is there. So this is the Excel file. Oh, the Excel is not going to show, but let me just give us a background knowledge on what this project focus on. So this project is just like I'm using iPhone data, right? So probably, okay, let me just, I think this is the data here. So okay, let me use the raw data part. Let me see if it can come up. So this is the data here. Okay, this is even giving me what I don't want to use. Or let me, I just want to try my best to make the data just, oh, okay, let's just use it. I believe we all know Excel data, right? But it's just the reason why I don't want to use this before. Okay, let me check sheet one then, because this data is already in form of table. Oh wow. Okay, let me check data. Okay, this is the raw data here. You just ignore this. Okay, basically let me just say, like this particular data, I use Microsoft Excel to analyze it also, and these are kind of insight I'm able to derive by, like, okay, this is the data, this is the data, this data is iPhone data cell in a certain region, and my purpose of working on this data is to get the quantity sold. Oh, was that okay? So the major reason of working on this particular data set is to get the quantity sold of iPhone in some certain region. And as a data analyst, it's always good to know the features or the column that will be useful for what you really want to do. Now, this data set is given to me, just like imagine representing myself as a data analyst from Apple company, and they have this set of data of Apple products, like just like in terms of iPhone, because if you said Apple products in large, you know Apple has different products. But now this data focuses on the the iPhones being sold in a certain region, and in considering the features or the column that will be useful, you will know here that okay, store ID does not add any value or any contribution to this particular data, but you know that region, product and quantity will definitely add, like it's going to add to, like you checking. Okay, now if I may ask, so I want to ask us a question before I probably proceed now. So, and anybody that want to talk can just raise up his hand so that I can mute my. I think if two persons is talking at the same time, there's a way it interference or cause something. So this is what I would do now. Let's check into this data. This is the data. We have region, we have product, we have quantity. So I want us to speak one after the other. What can you say about this? Like, what do you think a target, our target can be working on this data? So anybody that want to go first, just use that raising of hand button, then I will call you. So what do you think? Just give any suggestion of what you think about this data, like considering the region, the product and the quantity. What do you think we can achieve using this data as a data analyst? There is no right or wrong answer, so you just give your opinion. So should I be waiting on anybody to speak? Okay, Pelumi, so you can go first then.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good evening. I can't see the data. Yeah, I've seen it now. So I can't see the data again. Yeah. Okay. So what I can actually say is we have region. So we want to analyze. We want to see the proportion of iPhone each region by, like, oh, we have series of iPhone. We have series of product. If I can, I think we have 7, 8, 11, and 12. Yeah. So we can always see how each region buy, the more they buy, which, okay, let's say particular like American, they buy more of 12 or they buy more of 13, which region buy more of 12, which region buy more of this and that and that. That's what I can say, sir.
Okay, that's very nice. That's insightful. So Mary, what can you contribute to that?
From the data, if we can check for the total revenue, as like the total amount, like the total amount that they got for the sales, that's the total revenue. We can also check for the products that sold the most. We can check for the product that sold the most, and we can also check for the total revenue of their profit. We can check for their profit, and we can also check what region were they able to sell the most. Can check, and we can also check the product that sold the most. There are a lot of things that we can check there, sha.
Okay, that's very nice. I really like that because this, like, for you to be a good data analyst, you must be able to question the data, and I believe that's what you guys are doing now. You are questioning it, and you being able to derive something that okay, in terms of the amount of, probably the quantity of the iPhone sold in a certain region, the revenue, the profit, the everything you can imagine, and to know which kind of product sell the most in a certain region, or which kind of region that has the highest sales. So those are just like some of the scenario and some of the things you need to consider. Then when you know, then you now look into how to put them in place by writing code or by using just data analysis tools, just like maybe Power BI or Microsoft Excel. But the main thing I always say is that coding is not difficult, but what is difficult is solving problem. And if you did not understand the problem you want to solve, it will be difficult to write a code that will even solve the problem. Then the first thing is, when you understand the problem, I think the problem is half solved. Then you can look into how you can solve it, but you are already aware and understand the problem. So it's very very important. And anytime you see a data, it's just nice to have a book and pen, then you can keep just writing stuff down, so that when you start working on it, you will really know the target, like what you really want to do or what you really want to achieve with the data. So now, based on what you guys have said, I will now show you what I've done with the data. But it's nice, I really love it. So okay, okay, where's my Jupyter notebook? Okay, okay. Now we I like our previous class, I've tried to introduce us to libraries in Python, right? Like just like pandas. uh I've introduced us to pandas, I've introduced us to what is it called, I've introduced us to numpy, abi. Then I've introduced us to um matplotlib. So all those things are just like things that you need to know and familiar with, and you don't need to be a pro before you work with them. Just have a basic knowledge of it, and once you have the basic knowledge of it, you will grow over time. So don't just feel overwhelmed with a lot of information. So over time you are going to grow when you keep using it. That, to me now, there are things that I cannot be checking online for, I can easily do it from my head, just because I'm kind of familiar with it. But there are still some that I need to check Google, check some other places, because before I'll be able to do it. So basically we can also use Seaborn. Seaborn is also used as what is it called, visualization tools or visualization library. But I don't think I will be really be using it here. But just know that these are the basic one, which is import pandas as pd, import matplotlib as np, then import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Then we can also use this magic sign, which is percentage, then matplotlib in line. So I just have to run it. I don't know why it's slow. Okay, it has already run, but I still have to do it again because of this I just added. So these are just like the basic library. But when you are working on a machine learning or data science, at times you may need more than this, and there are some terrible data sets that you may need more than this. But these are just like basic library. So after you importing the basic library, you can, you as you just come in, you can be writing them down. Even me, when I started all this, I have a note that I write how to import libraries, all the libraries I want to use. Even the code, at times I will write it on paper, write it in a book. So it's not everything, don't just come to your head like how people always feel that once I start learning like this, everything I will just know it palm. So it's just like a gradual process sha. So after you've imported all this library, then you start by importing the data set. And how can you import the data set? You do that by using, okay, df. Df is the common use, which is called data frame, but you can also use another thing that you like, your choice. You can name it anything you want, but it's just common that we use df, which is data frame equals to pd.read_excel. Because this is xlx file, that's why I'm using pd.read_excel, then putting the name of that data set, which is excel project. That's the name of the data. And if this is underscore csv, if this has extension of .csv, we are going to be using underscore csv here instead of underscore excel. So I will just read it now to see just like the first five of my data set. So that's what I want to see. And you can see here that it's even more terrible here when it comes to Python. In Excel, it still show, you can see that we have region, we have store id, we have product and quantity. But now using Python is showing unnamed 0, unnamed 1, unnamed 2, unnamed 3, unnamed 4. just because of what? Because on our Microsoft Excel file, I think there's a space in the first line. So this thing is now bringing everything in form of a table, instead of recognizing it that the first rows does not ask anything, that the table starts from row 2. So that's why this is there. And as a data analyst, you have to remove all this on name 1, on name 0, on name 2, on name. That's just like, in the data literacy or data pipeline or data workflow. We have, okay, understanding the business problem, understanding your data, then maybe knowing to ask the right question, then cleaning your data. So this aspect is just like the aspect of cleaning data, right? And we have to remove all this. Then you can see here that we have NA. So we also need to find ways of getting rid of all this NA. And how can you do it? I'm going to show us how we can do it step by step. So now I also need to get ideas of, okay, what is the length of the data set I'm working with, and checking using the length here. I can see that everything make up of 35 rows. Although this data is a very small data set, and it's just because I use Excel to work on it, then I also want to transfer the Excel to Python, then use Python also to do the same. So that's the idea of bringing it here. I should have go with a very large one, but it's still nice. The main thing is understanding the basics. Once you know the basics, you'll be able to transfer those knowledge to the large data set. So now after checking the length, I can see that the length is 35, right? Then I can see now that, okay, what are the feature head, like that is the name of the column that I really care about. I use this just like, okay, region, store ID, product and quantity, just because it's what I saw here, and this is what I want to work with, which is region, store ID, product and quantity. But here Python is giving me another thing, so which is on name 0, 1, 2, 3. So and I have to get rid of this first row. So now, getting rid of the first row, I have to use df.drop index 0, which is like the first index, then in place equals to true. In place equals to true is like mandatory the change or making it effective. So if I run this now and I run this now, so I can see that this does not even work, because, okay, I can see that what I'm trying to do is, okay, the index. Can we remember index? What does index means? Index just means like the first item. If you can still remember this list, that, okay, the first item is 0 length. If you are counting from the first, it will be 0, 1, 2, 3. So now I want to drop the first index, and now it's not even working for it. So what I'm going to do is, okay, try another thing. I want to reset the index. So if I run this, and I and okay, after running that, I have to run this also. Now I'm able to reset the index, right? And now I want to drop this. So this is now the another effective way. Like, as I'm working on this data set, okay, if can anybody notice what happened there? You will see that my goal is to do something, and I'm already doing the wrong stuff, just because now my intention here is to drop this. Okay, let me come back here. My intention is to drop on name 0, on name 1, on name 2, on name 3, on name 4, then leave the region, store ID and product and quantity, and also to remove all these rows. So now I've done something that I've already removed the region, the name of the region, because I removed the first row. So instead of removing this on name 0, on name, so instead of removing it, it remove the region, store id, that is the name of that particular stuff, then I have to get them back. So now, before dealing with it, I just have to remove okay by name, df dot drop. What am I dropping? Then I put in just this one is the okay, the axis means zero, means the first column. So this is zero, this 0 1 2 3, this just like the first column, while this is the second column. Python programmer always starts counting from zero. We don't count from one, we always start counting from zero. So this first one, this 0 1 2 3 4, this is just like row one, but programmer will see it as row zero, while on name zero we are going to see it as one. That's why we are now dropping df dot drop, then put the names of this here, then axis equals to one, then in place equals to true. That is, any the code that we've written here, we want it to force, right? We want to forcefully make it to appear, like, or to take effect on the data. So once I run this now, and I run the other cell, you will see now that this unnamed zero, like this column, the whole column is gone already. And still yet we still need, we have unnamed one, unnamed two, unnamed three, and unnamed four. But now, the name of our data set initially, this is region, this one is representing region, this one is representing store id, and this one is representing the product, then this is representing the quantity. And we already know it because we've seen that in the data. But now, what remain as their header here is just on the one two this, and there's a way we can rename it. Instead of dropping it, we can actually rename it. And how can you rename it? You can do it by changing column label, which is column label is equals to, you now open a curly braces, then using unnamed, then unnamed one, that is this name of column, I want to replace it with region. This unnamed two, I want to replace it with store id. Then unnamed three, I want to rename it with product. Unnamed four, I want to replace it with quantity. That's what I'm actually trying to achieve here, and this is the code base to do that. So then after putting this, you can see that this is just like in form of dictionary if you really understand the basics of python. So when you map it together like this, then df dot rename, then open bracket, columns equals to column label, that is this label, then in place equals to true. So me running this and trying to just check the first five of my data set. So once I run it, you see now that this unnamed one has been replaced with region, unnamed two has been replaced with store id, unnamed three has been replaced with product, then unnamed four has also been replaced with quantity. This is just like part of data cleaning. I'm just trying to figure out how I can clean the data and make it. You can see now that this, if you compare this one to when we first import it, you see that it's totally different. Here we have so many jargons here. So that's just like a step in cleaning your data. So now it's looking presentable, and I still have to check the length of my data. Then I discover that it's 34. That is, we've lost a row already because initially it was 35. Just to keep check, to keep it in check, or how the best thing is to use, but just to be sure that what you are doing, you are making a progress. So now we already know the total number or the total row, and we also have to check the missing value of our data set. What is the missing value? Then missing value is just like those particular places that there is no data, or there is missing value, or the values are not there. It can be knowingly or it can be unknowingly. So it can be due to an error, and you just have to be sure if they are there or not. So df dot is null, then you open this bracket, then dot sum, and we can see in region we have zero missing value, that is no missing value. Store id no missing value, product, no missing value, then quantity, no missing value. Then after being sure, you still have to check the info. The info make you to know more about your data in terms of okay region o, dis are, and then also to check for the data type. You can see the data type here. Okay, this one is object, this one, there's some data type types that in that column is number, and when you get here you'll be seeing some of them in terms of object. And object means like a string. If you are seeing object, object is just representing a string. And if you want to perform arithmetic operation on a string value, it won't work. So you have to check it and be sure so that you can change those particular data type if it's not compatible or the same as what you intend seeing or what you have in mind. So you can see here that quantity should be in number, and it should be in integer. So integer format of float. Float integer is just like a number without decimal, while float is the one that has decimal. So now quantity equals to df quantity dot as type. I'm trying to change the quantity row to integer, and after, so I just need to run it, then check the info here, df dot info. You can see now that the quantity has now been changed to integer. So it should be number, it shouldn't be in form of object. And you know something, if you can still remember the basics of python, if you are uh, if like if you want to perform arithmetic operation on that particular feature or that column, if it's in a string format or object format and you are using plus, it's going to concatenate those value instead of adding it normally. So but if you change it to a number or a float or integer, it's going to add it. So now it's very important to take note of it when working on your data using python. Then I still need to know the unique value or the categories that appears uniquely in my region. And what are they? Like we have 35 rows, and that 35 rows, 35 cannot be unique, although it can be unique in some cases, but here it's not unique. We only have America, APAC, then EMA as a unique value. These are values that make up the region, that is, they appear multiple times. So these are just like uniqueness of it. So when after checking it, I have to check the uniqueness of the store ID too, although it's not useful to my insight, but I just need to know. Then also products. So checking the uniqueness of the product just to know what is going on in the product too. I can see that I have iPhone 11, 12, 7, 8, iPhone 7 and iPhone 6, then also iPhone 11. But you checking this data set, you find out that some iPhone has single eye while some have double eye, and this means that there is like something is wrong somewhere. So we can assume that we already know the correct spelling of iPhone, and we seeing something like this, you should know that it can be a typo, graphical error, or they did mistake or anything. You can't believe that this can be right because we already know the spelling of iPhone. And what next is by trying our best to replace them with the right value. And once you know, how can you replace? Now, before even dealing with it, I just want to be sure of all other features that I want to be working with. So now I also want to check the unique value of the quantity to see if probably there is a sorry. So I want to check the uniqueness of the quantity too to know if there is probably a string in between or something is wrong, but just to check the uniqueness of it. Then after checking the uniqueness of it, I can see that everything is number. and this is just like the range of the uniqueness. Now, after getting that, I need to start my data cleaning, data cleaning. Although initially we've started data cleaning for a while, sha, but I just want to name this data cleaning. So so I will just call this data cleaning. So now we already know that okay, this iPhone is incorrectly spelled and we are looking for how we can replace it, and this is just like the source code for doing that. Df product, that is, this is the features of the product, then use df product dot replace iPhone, which is double I, then want to replace it with a single I, that is correctly spelled. So if I'm able to run it now and run this also, you can see now that we only have a single iPhone now, just because the one that they are incorrectly spelled has now been replaced with the one correctly spelled. But we still have one more, no, we still have two more, which is double I for iPhone 7 and iPhone 8. So I tried to change the iPhone 7 too. Then if I check, it's just like the same procedure. So you can see now that it's getting reduced. iPhone 7 too has been solved. Now we are left with iPhone 6 alone. Then we go again using the same method of replacing it. Then I will run these two. So running these two, you have iPhone 11, 12, 7, 8 and 6. Now everything is clean. No misspell value here anymore. Then I can now proceed with my analysis. And you will see when you guys were contributing, you were talking about the quantity, like maybe like in terms of the iPhone that is sold in a certain region. So now I want to create a table where there will be the region name, which is the uniqueness of the region, and where we can also fit in the product and also fit in the quantity for us to be able to know the quantity of iPhones sold in a certain region. So that is our goal, and here we have to beat the problem down, like in a smaller pieces, where after working on this we'll be able to fit in those values that I talked about. Now for iPhone 7, I want to create a table for iPhone 11 from this old table. So now you see I use iPhone 11 equals to df product equals to iPhone, that is, inside this product, any iPhone that is equals to iPhone 11, you should group them inside this iPhone 11. So if I run it now, so I run this, you will see this table only contain iPhone 11. So and if I check the length of it, I can see that we only have, the length is just 16 out of 35. So I also need to go the same way for iPhone 12, then use okay product equals to iPhone 12. So anywhere we have iPhone 12, it's going to group them in a table, in a separate table called iPhone 12, so that we can work on them individually. So now checking the length of iPhone 12, you can see that we only have 4 iPhone 12 that occurs, and these are just like the quantity. So we also did the same for iPhone 8. Then we can see that iPhone 8 is even more lesser. So we only have 3 iPhone 8 and is being sold in APA, America and EMA. So those are like region where it's being sold. Then we also did the same for iPhone 7. iPhone 7 is more, but the quantity of sales reduce because maybe people are not in demand of iPhone 7 like before again. You can see here that we have 5 to these are just like the quantity sold in those regions at that particular time. Then we can see that we have 10 but the quantity is very low. We also did the same for iPhone 6. I think iPhone 6 is there, and we only have one iPhone 6 and they sold one quantity of it. So this is just giving us some of insight on the data, that is some of the so it's actually giving us, I believe you can still hear me, right? Hello.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, 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 so that it won't be like I'm just talking to myself. So you will see that this problem, I'm just trying to beat them down. Once you really understand it, I believe it's not difficult, but if you did not understand it, it will be kind of hard. So now I've been able to assemble or cut this thing bit by okay, representing the iPhone 6 in a table, representing iPhone 7 in a table, representing iPhone 8 in a table. So after that, then the next my next move is okay, I can see now, instead of using the whole stuff, I can just use iPhone 11 alone and I'm going to get what is inside iPhone 11, and this is it. So using iPhone 11 now, the only data that this will give me is just iPhone 11 alone. So it won't give me any other iPhone. Now I want to get the quantity of iPhone 11. So you see that here is still a mixed region because in this region for iPhone 11 we still have America, EMA, and I think we only have two categories of region here, which is America and EMA. So now I care about checking the quantity sold in America alone, check the quantity of iPhone sold in EMA alone, and also probably in another region. How can you do that? Now I use okay iPhone 11 that's called America, which is equal to iPhone 11, then this. So the region inside this table, I just want to get the one sold in America alone. Then I want to get it for this first row. This cell here is showing okay, this region equals to America, that is the data sold in America alone. So and I'm able to do that here. Then also working with the iPhone 11 sold in APAC alone, then also EMA. So these are just like how to go about it, and you don't need to memorize code. You can write them down if it's something that you cannot really carry for now, and you can keep revisiting them. So okay, they are already giving me notification. Wow. So after doing this, after doing okay for EMA, APAC, so this just for iPhone 11. And if I check for EMA now, you can see now that checking for EMA, it shows me the iPhone 11 only in EMA. And if this data is a big one, that's just how we are going to approach it, by doing it little by little, if you don't want to get confused. Now I already got the iPhone 11 only in EMA, and these are the quantity. So now I just want to keep summing it, so I want to sum them. So for iPhone 11 I want to sum this quantity sold in EMA, and also want to sum it sum the quantity sold of iPhone 11 in APAC and also in EMA. So this, the first one is America, and you see that the quantity sold of iPhone in America is just 3,985. That's the quantity. Then also in APAC, this is the quantity sold, and in EMA, this is the quantity sold. So, and also with iPhone 12, it's just the same thing too. So I'm trying to check on the region, which is America, also APAC, EMA. Then after checking on them, I need to sum it just to know the quantity from this quantity, sum of the quantity. And this is how to represent it, dot sum. So after putting, this is just like the variable name, then quantity. So summing it now, we are able to get 1054, which is the quantity for iPhone 12. And we also have that for uh what is it called? We also have it for APAC, which is 1527. Then for for 12, for iPhone 12 in EMA, you can see here that they did not sell anything, which is zero. We only have zero. Then moving on to iPhone 8. So I just try to beat them down one after the other. Then for America, for AMAs, for APAC, for EMA. Then also I try to sum the iPhone 8 here. I can see that it's 7. I also sum it in APAC, just like the same way. I also sum it in in EMA, which is 3. So after that, I move on by trying to lay my hands on iPhone 7 too. So try to separate it with America, APAC. So just to work on that particular stuff one after the other. Then I can see iPhone 7 sold in America is just 3. Then in APAC we have 106. Then in uh 59, we in EMA we have 59. So for iPhone 6 we also did the same. So it's just the same thing also. So then summing it, you can see that iPhone 6 quantity sold in America is just 1. Then for EAPC, I mean the iPhone 6, you can see that is 0. Then also you can see that iPhone 6 sold poorly, like the quantity of iPhone 6 sold is very poor. So now I also still want to take the unique value of them, then to just see, okay, we have iPhone 11, 12, 7, 8 and 6. This is just basically what the categories we work on. And I also need to check for the region, because I want to create another table where I want to record all the values I got. So now I'm using mapping function just like dictionary now. So I'm naming the table like a pictures or a column here as America, and putting iPhone 12 America quantity, like this the quantity of iPhone 12 sold in America, the quantity of iPhone 11 sold in America, the quantity of iPhone 8 sold in America. Then also so I try to just separate them one after the other, then create a feature head for it. Now I want to make my index to be iPhone 12, 11, 8, 7 and 6. So if I run this now and try to just, so now this is the final table I got, like after all the story I've been telling since morning. So this is it now, this is just like my final product here. So getting for, okay, America, APAC, EMA, then iPhone 12, 11, 8, And we can easily see it now that okay, the quantity of iPhone 12 sold in America is this, the quantity of iPhone 12 sold in APAC is this, of this is this, and I can also represent it in chart. So that's what I just did there for easy locating. So now we can see that the quantity of iPhone sold in America now tells you that okay, iPhone 11 has the highest sales here. And also checking for APAC, so this one is just America, checking the iPhone sold in America. You can see now it's kind of easier to see. And I think this is where I just stop here working on that data that day. So what I'm just trying to show us now is you can see if I go back to this sheet, let me go back to this, let me just go back to that Excel sheet. You see that this is what Excel this is what I was able to to use when I was using Excel. Like I use Microsoft Excel to do this, and I'm able to achieve this. And also I'm able to transfer it to Python and do the same and still get the same result. So it's just like it's not kind of difficult. It's once you understand the basic principle, so you'll be able to work on it, and it does not come automatically. It's just your ability of keep working on several projects and then to give you the more understanding of it. So based on this class now, let me ask if we have anything we want to say because this thing log us out. And I want to ask also if we learn one or two things during this class. Although this class is being recorded, so I can share it, I will upload it and share it immediately after the class. So any question, we can, if you want to talk, just let's use raise up and that feature so that I can mute myself. It will not be like there's a way it obstruct each other. What kind of best English I can use?